I got a BFA in theater, had to take many lighting classes, and clearly this is the best that I can do. Lighting is hard. I've literally heated up this coffee like 7 times because that's how long it's taking me to make this video. This will be hopefully my first video of a series of me trying to learn Russian. Russian is really hard, and I've only been at it for I think since lockdown. How this came about, we went into lockdown on March 15th. I lost my job around March 15th, and I immediately thought, what am I going to do with myself while we are in lockdown? Being in a position where I have no goals and nothing to do is not good for the mental health. So I thought, you know, maybe this is a good time to try to do some self-improvement. I'm gonna try to finally learn Russian. Many of you might wonder, why Russian? Why not Spanish? You're from California. Spanish would be the obvious option. And the answer is because my boyfriend, Oleg, he speaks Russian. He uses Russian a lot in business. I help him in his business. And also his whole entire family does not speak a word of English. If I ever want to communicate with them on any kind of meaningful level, like, I have to learn it. I'm literally surrounded by Russian all the time, it seems.
Интересно вам или нет? Нормально люди как бы говорят там, окей, типа, я задумаю.
And yet I have not picked up on any Russian at all. It's literally like constantly in the background of my life.
Если с другом вышел в путь, веселей дорога.
Потом рукой, Ева, рукой.
I don't know what that means, but okay. But yeah, I don't speak a word of Russian. So today I'd like to share with you guys a few things that I've been doing since lockdown to help improve my non-existent Russian. Improve it, it doesn't exist yet. First thing I did is I did a lot of research. I know Duolingo for Russian does not work. They do not teach you the alphabet. I'm looking at words, letters that look like hieroglyphics. I don't know what they mean. Learn the alphabet, it takes like a day. I did that in a day and I felt so accomplished because you literally can learn the Russian alphabet in a day. You won't be able to pronounce all the letters in the Russian alphabet in a day. I can tell you that much.
Come on, babe. Babe, would you mind just doing alphabet for me? But what about the one that makes a sound that you can't make? No, come on. How do you call it? Perfect pronunciation. I'm so proud of you.
I still cannot pronounce this freaking letter. When it came to finding a program that like made me feel like I was even getting anything out of it, that was difficult. So Pimsleur is simply a language learning program, kind of curriculum. It's based off of repetition. So what you pay for, essentially $30 a month, I believe, you pay for these tracks. I think that there are like 10 levels. Each level has 30 lessons. So it starts with a very simple conversation, and as the lessons continue, they add on to the conversation. The conversations get more in depth. It's great because they have native speakers on their tracks, which is really important. And it's just so much repetition. Every chapter is 30 minutes. I listen to it while I jog. You don't actually go over that much material in each Pimsleur lesson. Is really trying to bang it into your long-term memory. Each Pimsleur lesson also comes with a reading chapter or a reading lesson, and also it comes with flashcards. When I first started Pimsleur, for the first like 2 weeks, I felt really, really good. I was rocking it. I was like, I'm going to be the Pimsleur spokesperson. This program is awesome. Until I started noticing some things that just I couldn't get past. These things were grammar. Russian grammar is incredibly difficult. It is a mind. I actually stopped my Pimsleur because I was just like, you know what? I know Pimsleur does not really focus on grammar. They don't explain any grammar. That's not their system. I need some grammar. I was noticing some inconsistency. Why is it they're using this pronoun? Shouldn't they be using this pronoun? So I literally took like a whole week, probably in the beginning of April, and I did like a crash course in Russian grammar. And let me just tell you, I went down a black hole of deep despair.
Yes, in Russian, go to kill you, break you.
It's just like once you answer one question, it just like opens the door to all these other questions that you have. And it's just like, it's this deep, dark black hole. It is a can of worms, truly. When I was doing research about the best ways to learn Russian grammar, a lot of the things that were being kind of said was, don't do it. Plow through, trying to keep plowing through Pimsleur while having all these questions about grammar feels very discouraging. And I think that's why most people stop early in the process, to be completely honest. And I'm still very early in my process. I've only been doing this for about 3 months at this point. Usually what I do to practice my writing, and I'm gonna show you, I got this really cute journal off of Etsy. It's like a repurposed book, and then they like just made it like blank journal pages. But I had another journal. I cut out my old journal entries. What you can see is that I started with the Russian alphabet, and then here I have a lot of grammar. I have a lot of grammar tables, and I also have a lot of Pimsleur. So what I do to practice my writing is after I do a Pimsleur lesson, I'll actually write down the lesson just to practice my writing. And you can see that here. Any of you like speak Russian or write Russian, don't judge me. I don't do it the correct way. I write Russian the way that it looks printed in like books and stuff, because I'm not a little Russian child that needs to end up going to a Russian university. I don't need to know how to actually write cursive Russian. You feel me? So this is basically how I do it. For every Pimsleur lesson, I write down each sentence. It just helps me practice my writing, and it helps cement it in my head. Everyone says that you really should just pick one thing, one method, and just like try to stick with it. However, I'm still kind of going between a few things, mostly focusing on Pimsleur, because I'm trying to just figure out what works best for me. Like, what is the thing that's going to really help me see the most progress? So another method I've been playing around with is something called Comprehensible Input. It's trying to relay very, very simple messages using minimal words to get that message across. So that way the message is clear. And it's done using big facial expressions and sound effects, and basically how you would talk to a baby, to try to help bring things into our long-term memory. One of the ways to use this method is via storytelling. So I got some books. If you look at this, you can see immediately you're not gonna understand it. This is probably like 7 or 8 year old, maybe 6-year-old material. And I'm like, I'm like a little baby, like newborn Russian. That's like my level.
Неправильно, блядь.
As you can see, it says 0+. So more my speed, if you know what I'm saying.
На длинный хобот у слона. Ха-ха-ха накормили петуха.
It's more my level. And in these books, you'll see one word with a picture, because then I can get the message, right? Big picture, one word. I know that this is probably this one thing is referring to this. So that way I can actually understand. I tried having Oleg read this one to me, and even though it's a little bit better, as you can see, it's just one paragraph, I still was not really getting most of the message. So basically how it would work is you'd have somebody read the little story for you, who speaks your target language. They would read the story, and then at the end, you would only ask 3 questions. Who is that? Which is кто это in Russian. And then what is that? Что это? And почему, which is why. I find the method to be effective in the sense that it's human interaction. And whenever you can involve human interaction in your language learning, in my very limited experience now compared to like Pimsleur, the things do tend to stick a lot better. The best way to learn language is to involve somebody else, is to not just sit there with flashcards. The only problem with this kind of comprehensible input, I'm 30 years old and this material is not that interesting to me. I don't really care about anything this little guy has to say.
Вещатель из ада.
So you may be wondering, how much progress can you make in 3 months? Let me tell you right now, it's pretty minimal. What I do notice, and I hope that this is good for where I am right now, I'll hear a conversation and I won't be able to decipher the conversation. Either one, I will hear words that I recognize, but I don't know what they mean. Oh, I've heard that word before, and that's about it. Or I'll hear words and I will know what they mean. Very rarely will I hear like a conversation where I can kind of decipher what's actually going on in its entirety. But that is more than 3 months ago, let me tell you, because before 3 months ago, I didn't know anything. Another thing that I've thought of doing is, since it's very difficult to actually work with Oleg, because like I said, it's just too close, you know? Like, it's just really hard to like learn from somebody when they're that close to you, because you're just gonna become resentful of the fact that they're constantly correcting you and talking to you like a baby, and it's just like not good for the relationship. One thing I would really like to look into is like a language trade. It's one of the best ways to learn, yeah. Maybe I'll link a video down below of a man from, I believe he's a professor at Cyprus College, who learns Arabic, which is a level 5 language without any curriculum, all using this method, comprehensible input via language trades. And in a year, I think he was conversationally fluent, which I think is pretty spectacular. Yeah, comment down below what methods you use or used to learn a language at home, out of the comfort of your own home. Pimsleur, Duolingo even, Rosetta Stone, Anki. I think there's another one that the name is escaping me right now. Oh, Assimil. I don't need to learn this in like 5 months or something. It's gonna take as long as it's gonna take. I just want it to eventually happen, if you know what I'm saying. So that is where I am right now. Hopefully this wasn't too boring. But yeah, until next time, I'll probably do one of these next month. Maybe I'll hopefully have some better news for you, other than, wow, I started learning Russian and I freaking hate it. Until then, I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you're staying safe during this time, social distancing and all that good stuff. I'll probably go and listen to more Pimsleur and like write in my journal and eat some dinner now. I never know how to like end videos. I'm not very congenial in that way, so I guess I'll just say I'll see you later. And yeah.